Hello everyone, my name is Rajiv. I welcome you to EduStudy. This video lecture will be on microeconomics of class 12 based on syllabus of CBSE, Assam Higher Secondary Education Council and any Indian Senior Secondary Examination Board. It is also helpful to the candidates who are preparing for various competitive examinations like TET, CTET, SSC, Banking, UPSC, APSC and all other public service commissions. This video will be entirely in English language. On the playlist of EduStudy, you will also get videos on economics for Assamese medium students. So, if you are from Assamese medium student, please visit the playlist of EduStudy. Friends, before starting, I have a request to you. If you have not subscribed the channel yet, please subscribe it and press the bell icon for latest update. This channel provides you all kinds of knowledge for your preparation. Okay, now I am starting. Here in every PPTs I have highlighted. Look, the PPTs here, first PPT. So here in every PPTs I have highlighted important sentences that will be very beneficial for your note making process. So please take your pen and notebook while watching the video, and please watch the complete video, then you will get whatever I am trying here. So friends, in the first PPT here, definition of utility, that means this is the second lesson. Actually this is not the first lesson, this is the second lesson. So I have started from the second lesson. So in the second lesson we have utility, and first of all we'll discuss the definition of utility. What is utility? So here some points are, some important lines are highlighted. So as I told you, these are very important for your note making, so please look this. In economics, utility is the capacity of commodity to satisfy human wants. So here it is said utility. What is utility? Utility is the capacity of a commodity to satisfy human wants. So this is most important here. What is the definition of utility here given? Utility is the capacity. That means you have to keep remember some key points here, keywords here. So keywords are here capacity and satisfy human wants. That means utility is the capacity. You can connect these two words, utility and capacity. You have to connect, then only you can remember. So this is a trick for remembering, that you have to connect the words utility and capacity. Utility, that is you have to keep remember, utility is the capacity, utility that is capacity, and what is the capacity? Whose capacity? Capacity of a commodity to satisfy human wants. You have to keep remember, that means this capacity can satisfy human wants. So this is most important here. This is the definition of utility. If you will get any question in your examination regarding utility, definition of utility or what is utility, sometimes you may get the question like what is utility, then you have to keep remember this and you have to write this sentence completely. In economics, utility is the capacity of a commodity to satisfy human wants. This is important. Okay, so let me come to the next point here. In the next point here, utility is the quality in goods to satisfy human wants. It is said here, what is utility? Utility is the quality in goods. Quality in goods, here it is said quality in goods. That quality is the capacity itself. You have to keep remember that quality itself is the capacity. So you have to keep remember utility is the quality in goods to satisfy human wants. So thus it is said that one's satisfying capacity or services is called one's satisfying capacity of goods or services. Here goods or services taken, you may take also good and services. So this is the definition of utility. You have two definitions here. One satisfying capacity, that is we already get the capacity here. That capacity is called one satisfying, or you may say the capacity of a commodity to satisfy human wants. The things are same here. The sentences and their meanings are same here. You have to keep remember. So other important points, the commodities can satisfy human wants. Why commodities can satisfy human wants? Therefore it creates its own demand. That means here said commodities can satisfy human wants that means they have the capacity, therefore why, my wise answer is here. The commodities can satisfy human wants. Why? Because they have the capacity. So for that capacity, what happens, that wants can be satisfied, therefore what happens, it creates own demand. That means we demand for the commodity as because the commodity has the capacity to satisfy human wants or our wants. You have to keep remember. So next one is the utility. About utility, you have to keep remember, it's a mental condition, or you may say it is a psychological condition. It's a psychological condition, so you have to keep remember. And next one is the different people, different utilities. That means utility is a psychological condition, so psychological conditions of different people, psychological condition of different people will be different, so you have to keep remember this. And next one, cardinal economist measures, this is also important, utility with the help of money. So cardinal economist measures utility with the help of money, this is also important. Next one, according to cardinalis, that means cardinalis means cardinal economist. According to cardinal economist, the amount that a individual, that this would be n not a, this is an individual, is ready to pay for commodity is the utility. So this is according to that, this is the definition according to the cardinalist economy. That means they are saying that here the amount that is an individual is ready to pay for a commodity is the utility. That means suppose I have I want to eat an apple, so I have great appetite for the apple, so therefore I am ready to pay rupees 40 for that apple. So this rupees 40 is the utility for me, this is the utility for me. Another person may same appetite for the apple, but he is willing to pay only 30 rupees. This 30 rupee is the utility for another person. So utilities are different for different people, utilities are different for different people, and it is a psychological condition, so we have to keep remember this. And this is all about our first PPT, whatever we have the definition of utility. I hope you have understood the video, you have understood the whatever there in the first PPT, not in the complete video I am telling. So if you have not understood yet, please repeat the video and watch it again, and whenever you watch the video, that time you have to pay your concentration here in the video only. You should keep your mind only here, then only you will understand, as because many of you may feel that economics is a hard subject, it's a very difficult subject, so therefore it happens to you first time, so please try more. And let's come to the next PPT. Here in the next PPT we have total utility and marginal utility. So here is the definition of total utility. So I think you have an idea, you have already got some viewpoints about some knowledge about utility, what is utility. Now we are discussing here the total utility. What is total utility here given? Total utility, so it is written here, the utility from all units of consumption, all units of consumption is called the total utility. That means utility we derive from all units of consumption is called the total utility. And according to Mayers is an economist, great economist, so according to him here total utility is the sum of the marginal utilities associated with the consumption of successive units. So this is according to Mayers. Now I am giving you one example. Suppose I am consuming apples, so from the first apple I have got the utility rupees 40. So from the second one I have got 50 utility, and similarly from the third one I got 60 utility. So this 60 is the total utility. Here these are the additional I can take here additional plus one like this. I can take the additional unit here. So this is the utility from first unit, this is the utility after consuming second unit, and this is the utility after consuming the last unit, that is third unit. So this 60 is the total utility from all three units. So this is the total utility. Total utility is the utility that can derived from all units of consumption. So this is all about the total utility. I hope you have understood this. And let's come to the marginal utility. So marginal utility is the utility derived from the last or marginal unit of consumption. Here it is written last or marginal. These 2 points are here, key points here, key words here, last and marginal, or you may keep remember additional, 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 or you may say extra unit. Here also you can say extra, extra unit. You may say, instead of using last or marginal, you can use here extra unit or additional unit. That means utility derived from the additional unit of consumption is called the marginal utility. Here extra unit, suppose from the first unit you switch to the second unit, then second unit is the here second, that means total you have, and you have consumed here totally 2 units here, total 2 units. So here what happens, here it will be the +1 means this is the additional. That means from first unit to second unit you switched here, and so therefore this is the additional. After consuming additional unit you will have the second unit. That means totally you have the 2 units. So this is the additional unit. So from this additional unit, whatever you got here, whatever the utility you got, that is the marginal utility. That means here 50, it is 50, total utility is here 50. So if you minus this 40, this utility from the first unit, if you minus from this total utility, then you will get here 10. This 10 is the marginal utility. Similarly, if you switch to the third unit, that means you have the total consumption 3. Total consumption is here 3. So additional, one more additional unit you will have here. So here what happens, here also additional utility you got here is the 10. Always the utility, additional utility or the marginal utility will not be same, will not be constant. But here from my example you got here 10, here also 10. This is this is not the fact actually. This is the example, this is according to the example I have taken here. But the marginal utility cannot be same or may not be same, you have to keep remember. So but you have to understand here, what is the marginal utility. Marginal utility is the utility that is derived from the consumption of additional unit. Additional unit here +1 unit, and the utility you have got here from the additional unit, consumption of additional unit, you have got the utility that is 10, and this 10 is the marginal utility, MU. You may say in short from MU, marginal utility, MU you may say. So some sentences here remains here. It refers to the additional utility derived from an extra unit of given commodity purchased, acquired or consumed by the consumer. Whatever I have telling you here it is written, so you have to keep remember these. These are the definitions of total utility as well as the marginal utility, and these are very important, you have to keep remember. So let me give you one example more about the total utility and marginal utility, and also total utility and marginal utility curves here we have. So this chart describes the total utility and marginal utility. Look here, these are the units of consumption of the commodity, and this is the total utility in terms of money. That means we are discussing the total utility and marginal utility in terms of money. That means you may say cardinalist, according to cardinalist economist we are discussing here, and the marginal utility here is in terms of money also. So here the from the first unit the total utility you derived is here 30, and from the consumption of second unit you will have the total utility 55, and from the third unit of consumption you will get the total utility 75, from the fourth you will get 90, and from the fifth you will get 10. So these are the total utilities you derive from the consumption. Here total units of consumption are 5, and total utility is 100. This is the total utility for the fifth unit of consumption. Total utility here is the 100. So now we'll find the marginal utility. We as I tell you, the marginal utility is the additional unit. That is the utility derived from the consumption of additional unit. Here additional unit means plus 1 unit. So what is the difference here? Here difference 55 minus 30 is 25. So this is the marginal utility. Here 25 is the marginal utility you got here. That means marginal utility can be find out by deducting the the utility of the previous consumption from the utility of the current consumption. Current consumption, that means we are just taking here the second unit. We are just taking here the second. Suppose we have the total utility here 55 and total unit of consumption is 2 units. So therefore from 55 if you minus 30, then you will get here 25, and this is the marginal utility. And here for the first unit marginal utility is not defined. Actually you may say marginal utility here also 30. You may say marginal utility is the same here. Total utility and marginal utility are same here, but this is not the marginal. According to its definition, this is not the marginal. So you may say marginal utility in the first unit is cannot be defined it. So this is important here, you have to keep remember. So here in the third unit what happens? In the third unit our total utility is 75. This is 75. So now we require to find a marginal utility for the third unit. So marginal utility for the third unit is here 75 minus 55, then you will get here 20. So this 20 is the marginal utility for the third unit. And similarly marginal utility for the fourth unit if you have to find, then you have to deduct this 75 from this 90, then you will get here 15 is the marginal utility. And similarly here if you have to find the marginal utility for the fifth unit, then this will be 10 here, as because if you deduct 90 from this 100, then you will get here 10. So this is all about how to find the marginal utility in a chart. So in sometimes what happens in your examination, the chart may be provided to you and some lines or some maybe they are blanks, and you have to fill the blanks. So how to fill the blank? Suppose here is the blank and here is the blank. You have to fill these two blank, and for these two blanks you will get 2 marks. So then this is very simple. Just simply you have to deduct, you have to subtract this 55 from this 75, then you will get here 20. This fill up here. And similarly here from this 90 you have to deduct this 75, then you will get here 15. This is also filled up here. So this is very easy to find out the marginal utility from the total utility. It is very easy. So if you keep remember, if you try to understand, then it is very easy. So now we will draw here the total utility and marginal utility curves here. So first of all here we will write here units of commodity. You have to write here units of commodity here, units of commodity, units of commodity. My handwriting here is not looking so beautiful, as because I am using here, I am not so usual for the writing pad, so therefore it's happened here. So here you have to write on the y-axis, this is y-axis, total utility and marginal utility you have to write here. This is y-axis, you may write here y, and here you should write here x. This is x, this is y, and this is origin point O. And here you have to write the units of commodity. Suppose first unit, this is first unit, this is the second unit, this is the third unit, this is the fourth unit, and this is the fifth unit. So we have 5 units here, and first of all we will place here the total utility. So we have to represent here the total utility. So for the first unit here we have 30. First of all we'll just mark here 30. I have not taken here any scale, just I am showing you how to place here. You have to take the scale, and according to your scale you have to draw, but just simply I will draw here. Here it is 30. Suppose this is 30 and this is the 55, this is 55, and after 55 we have here 75, take the 75 here. I'm taking here from here, this is from this table, from this column here. So 75, after 75 we have here 90, just take 90 here, and after 90 we have here 100, so take here 100. So now link this, connect this. For the first unit our total utility is 30, so this is first unit. I'm sorry, this is, I need to erase this. Let me take the eraser. So if I erase, okay, so again I'm taking the pen, and here it is 30, and this is for the first unit, and 55, this is 55 for the second unit total utility, and for third unit the total utility is here 75. For the fourth unit the total utility is, for the fourth unit total utility is here 90, and for the fifth unit the total utility, for the fifth unit the total utility is here 100. So if you join these points, then you will get, you have to join all these points here, those points, then you will get a curve of like this type of curve you will get here. So this is the total utility curve. In this way you have to draw the total utility curve. Now we will draw the marginal utility curve. So marginal utility curve we will draw here. Suppose first of all we will draw here the nothing is there for the first unit. So for the second unit, from the second unit in the marginal utility column we have here 25, so 25 should be here. It will be, suppose this is 25, it will be 25, and after that we have here 20, take 20 here, this is 25, mark here, and this is 15, and similarly this is 10, after that will be the 0. So for the second unit we have the 25, second unit this is 25, and for the third unit that is 20, for the fourth unit it is 15, fifth unit it is 10. So for the fourth unit we'll take, for the fourth unit here it is 15, take 15 here, and for the fifth unit it will be 10, take here. So this line will be like this. Here this is 25, this line you have to join here, you will get this kind of line. Actually this is 10, this is not 0. Okay, so if you understand here the total utility, then I will erase this and I will show you how to draw the marginal utility. You have to keep remember this. In the same diagram it's not possible for me to draw here, as because I am using the writing pad here. So let me erase this. I will erase all this total utility and just I will draw the marginal utility. Then I will show the relationship between total utility and marginal utility. So I am erasing this. Okay, it's okay. Now I will draw here the marginal utility curve. So let me take the pen here. It's okay now. So first of all I will draw here, I will write here the units of consumption: first unit, second unit, third unit, fourth unit, and fifth unit. And this axis is the x-axis and this is the y-axis. This is y-axis and this is original point, and I am just drawing here the marginal utility. First marginal utility here is the 10, and second is the from below I will draw here 10, 15, this column. I will use this column here. So 10, after 10 we have 15 here, then we have 20, after 20 we have the 25. So for the second unit of consumption marginal utility is here 25, just draw it. For the third unit it is 20, it's okay. For the fourth unit it is 15 marginal utility, and for the fifth unit it is 10. So now you have to join these points, this point to this, and from this to this, and from this to this, and this way it goes, and this is the marginal utility curve. You have to use the scale. I am telling you again and again, you have to use the scale here. So this is marginal utility mu, and this extra should be erased here. Okay, so this is marginal utility curve like this, and this curve has the slope, diminishing slope, or you may say negative slope. This is negative slope, you may say. So this is the marginal utility. And next I will show you here the relationship between marginal utility and total utility. What is the relationship here? So without drawing the diagram, I will show you from the chart here what is the relationship. So let me show you. So have a look on the chart again. Here in the chart, what happens here? Total utility is increasing here, but marginal utility is diminishing. So while the total utility is increasing, marginal utility will diminish. So at a point, suppose we further increase our units of consumption. Suppose we'll take the consumption till the 6 unit, then till 6 unit it will be 105, and marginal utility will be here 5. And similarly for the 7 unit it will be, suppose it will be 107, and our marginal utility will be 2 here. And for the 8 unit, our this is 107, this will be 7, and here it is 101, sorry, not 108 it should be, and it is 1, marginal utility is 1. And in the 9th unit what happens? It is 108 itself, and marginal utility is here 0. And for the 10th unit, if you increase your consumption, then it will decrease, it will diminish, that it may reach to 100, and this will be here negative, this will be here negative, that means -8 it may be. So this is the relationship between marginal utility and total utility. What happens whenever total utility has the increasing trend, and when the total utility is increasing, till that point marginal utility is positive. That means here 25, 20, 15, 10, 5, 2, 1. These numbers are positive here. These numbers are positive as because total utility is increasing here. And here in this, for the 8th unit and 9th unit, what happens? Total utility is here constant, as because this is 108, 108. Total utility is 108 in both 8th unit and 9th unit. That means you may say constant here. And that time what happens? Marginal utility becomes 0 here. It is 0. And after, when the marginal utility is 0, that time you may say total utility is the maximum. That is the maximum of the total utility. That means at that point when the maximum of the total utility you derived from your consumption, that time your marginal utility will be 0. That time your marginal utility will be 0. And after that point, after the maximization of your utility, what happens? That time after that, if you continue your consumption, then your total utility will be diminishing. This will be diminishing, and at that time what happens? Your marginal utility will be negative. Here it is negative. So we can show the relationship here. Marginal utility curve was like this type, mu, and total utility curve is like this type. This type total utility TU you may say here. So here the relationship also showing here. Total utility is increasing here. This total utility is increasing here. Sorry, till this point it's increasing here. Till this point it's increasing till this point. Okay, and here marginal utility, what happens here? It's diminishing, but diminishing at the rate of positive rate. That means diminishing rate is here positive, not so negative. So you may say that whenever the total utility is increasing, that time what happens, marginal utility is diminishing but at a rate of positive rate. So when this is the maximum point of the total utility, this is maximum. Suppose here maximum we have taken from our example, that is 108. Suppose this is 108, and at that time what happens, marginal utility is 0. Here it is 0. So this is the relationship between total utility and marginal utility, that at the maximum point of total utility, marginal utility is 0. Here it is 0, and after this marginal utility becomes negative, and when it is negative, at the point when the total utility curve diminishes, here it's diminished. That means it has the slope of negative slope, as well as the here marginal utility slope is, marginal utility is also here negative, completely it's negative. That means for the minus, here -1 you may get minus, suppose we have here -8, this is -8, so it may be -8 for the further units of consumption. So this is all about the total utility and marginal utility. If you understood this, then only whatever there in the next PPT you will understand. So in the next PPT we have here law of diminishing marginal utility. So here some points are given. Wants of an individual is unlimited, but willingness to consume a commodity is limited. The marginal utility of a commodity diminishes if an individual continues to consume a commodity one by another unit. So here it says wants of an individual are unlimited. That means our wants are unlimited, as we know, but wants are unlimited, but our willingness to consume a commodity is limited. That means to an extent we just consume the commodity, and after that limit we reduce our consumption, that is limited. Therefore it is called the consumption is limited. And here marginal utility, it's important. Here this is the main points here. These are the helping points here. These helping points, through this help we discuss the marginal utility of a commodity diminishes if the individual continues to consume a commodity one by another units. That means you may refer here the chart here, whatever the chart. So please refer this chart here. Here it is said, as you continue your consumption, that time what happens, the marginal utility diminishes. That means one by another. For in the first unit we have the marginal utility, you may say that is 30, and for the second unit the marginal utility is the 25, it diminishes now. And similarly for the third unit what happens, the marginal utility here is the 20, and for the fourth unit the marginal utility here is the 15, and for the fifth unit it is 10. That means here marginal utility have the trends to diminishing. As we saw, the marginal utility curve has the negative slope, so that is called the marginal utility, that is the diminishing rate of marginal utility. So as we discuss here, so the marginal utility of a commodity diminishes if an individual continues to consume a commodity one by another. So this is all about. I hope you have understood this. And let me come to the next PPT. Here in the next PPT what happens, consumer's equilibrium. We will discuss here consumer's equilibrium. So consumer's equilibrium can be described as like when a consumer doesn't change his expenditure on goods. That means consumer's equilibrium exists when a consumer does not change his expenditure on goods. And what happens next, in the second line we have, in the equilibrium condition the consumer gains extreme satisfaction from the expenditure he made on goods. So here it is said, in the equilibrium condition, what happens in the equilibrium condition? The consumer gains extreme satisfaction you have to keep remember, from the expenditure he made on the goods. That means whatever the expenditure he has made for the goods, for that expenditure he should have the maximum satisfaction, and that maximum or the extreme satisfaction, that is the equilibrium condition. That means to get the equilibrium condition the consumer must get the maximum satisfaction from the expenditure he made on the goods. This is. And for discussing consumer's equilibrium we have two approaches. First approach is here, at a given price how much amount of good is consumed by the consumer. This is first approach. And the second approach here, at a given price how much amount of goods are consumed by the consumer. If you notice here, a slight difference you will get here. Here it is a goods, here two goods. Just these two are the differences here. That means we will discuss here consumer's equilibrium for a good only, for a good or commodity only. And secondly, we will discuss consumer's equilibrium for two goods. So let me proceed here. So first approach, in the first approach what happens, the consumer gains equilibrium at that condition. Here it is said the consumer gains equilibrium at that condition when the highlighted, that means the blue mark writings with the words are here important. The market price of the commodity is equal to the marginal utility. That means market price, here it is said market price. That means suppose we are consuming x1 unit of a commodity, or we are just sorry, don't take here x1, just simply you take here x, the commodity x we consume. Suppose let we consume here only the commodity x. That means there are various commodity to consume on the market, but the consumer consumes only one commodity. You have to suppose this is our assumption, and the consumer has a income, fixed income, that is m. You have to suppose this is m. So it has a price. You may say the price is price of x. That means the commodity x has a price, and you may say price of x. So our equilibrium condition for one commodity is that price of x, this price of x must be equal to marginal utility derived from consuming the commodity x, mu. This is mu. That means marginal utility derived from consumption of commodity x. So here the market price of the commodity is equal to the marginal utility of that commodity. So this is the condition. This is the condition for consumer's equilibrium for a commodity, for only a commodity, for only one commodity. This is the important here. So what happens if marginal utility is greater than the price? This may be the condition, another one, and this also may be the second more condition here. If marginal utility is less than the price, what happens then? Marginal utility is less than the price, or marginal utility is greater than the price, then we'll discuss this. So first of all, you have to remember the consumer consumes only one commodity. That commodity is here x, and its price is price of x, that is px you may say, and its marginal utility is you may say as marginal utility mu x, and m is the fixed income, and his expenditure and income are here same. That means completely he spend his money on the purchasing of first commodity x. So let us come to the first condition. If marginal utility of x is greater than the price of x, that means this condition you may write here in the improved condition, that is marginal utility of x, if it is greater than price of x, then what happens? So whenever the marginal utility is greater than the price of any commodity, that time what happens? That time the consumer increases his consumption. He increases, that means he continues his consumption. That means for the second unit, suppose first unit his total utility is 30, and for the second unit his total utility is 40, and his marginal utility here will be the 10. It is 10, but the price of the commodity, suppose price of the commodity is here 5. That means the price here 5 is less than this marginal utility. That what happens? The consumer has the willingness to increase his consumption. Then he will switch to the third unit of consumption, and there he will get 45 total utility, and marginal utility will be 5. And at this point At this point what happens, the price will be same, this is constant, the price will not be changed here. So this is constant and this is equal to now the marginal utility, and this is the condition here we refer here. Price of x is equal to marginal utility of x, and this is the consumer's maximum satisfaction. This is the maximum satisfaction of the consumer. He has the extreme satisfaction, and this is called the consumer's equilibrium condition. So consumer's equilibrium condition, at that condition when the price of x, that means price of a commodity, is equal to the marginal utility of the commodity, that is the maximum condition, that is the extreme condition, extreme satisfaction of the consumer. So, and for the second condition here, if the marginal utility is less than the price of x, suppose marginal utility of x is less than the price of x, then what happens? So at that condition what happens, the consumer, suppose consumer is consuming first, second and third 3 units of consumption, and on the third unit he has the total utility, suppose 80 he has the total utility, and his marginal utility here is the 5, suppose it's 5 here, and this is 80, and here in the second unit what happens, in the second unit it's 75, it should be, it must be 75 here, if you have to write here 5, and here it is, suppose it is 75, then minus 5 minus 2, that is 68, not 70, 68, it's 68, then what happens here, 2 plus 7, it's 7, here it's 7, it's not 7, here it should be 7. So here suppose price of x is here 7, but at this condition what happens, at this condition the price of x is greater than the marginal utility, that means this condition is applying here, marginal utility of x is great, this is less than, marginal utility is less than the price of x, then what happens, the consumer switch to the second unit, that means he will satisfy his condition, he will get the extreme satisfaction from deducting his unit of consumption, he will minus here his unit of consumption, then he will have the marginal utility of x equal to price of x, here 7 will be equal. So this is the condition of the consumer's equilibrium for the only one commodity, first commodity. So this is first approach, and let me come to the second approach. In the second approach what happens, second approach, the law of equimarginal utility, it is called equimarginal utility, and in this condition what happens, we have to suppose there are two commodities, these commodities you may name as x, y, here x taken, so take x and y, there are two commodities and they have two prices, price of x and price of y, so there are two prices, and the consumer spends all his income to consuming these two commodity x and y. So this is important. Here it is said the consumer will distribute his money income between two goods in such a way that the utility derived from the last rupee spent on each good is equal, or consumer is in equilibrium position when marginal utility of money expenditure on each good is the same. So this is important here, marginal utility of money expenditure on each good is same. So what is marginal utility of money expenditure? Here it is given, the marginal utility of money expenditure on a good is equal to the marginal utility of goods divided by the price of goods. That means here suppose for this x commodity marginal utility is MUX, this is MUX. So how to find the marginal utility of money expenditure on x? That is, if you divide this marginal utility of x by price of x, then you will get marginal utility of expenditure on commodity x. So this also happens to in case of in case of y commodity, then it will be marginal utility of y. Marginal utility of y is equal to y divided by price of y, and this is called the marginal utility of money expenditure on commodity y. and these two must be equal, and this is the condition for two commodities to get the extreme satisfaction for the consumer, and this is called equimarginal utility, law of equimarginal utility. This is the case here. What happens? Marginal utility of money expenditure on each good is the same. That means at the consumption level, at the consumption unit of consumption, on that particular point when mu x by price of x is equal to mu y by py, that means marginal utility of x divided by price of x is equal to marginal utility of y is divided by price of y, that is equal, and that at that condition, at that unit of consumption, the consumer will have the extreme satisfaction, and at that point he will get the equilibrium condition. So this is the equilibrium condition, and all this is called, completely this approach is called the law of equimarginal utility. I hope you have understood, and this is all about the first part of the second lesson, and I will very soon record the second part and I will upload to the YouTube. And for getting latest update, you have to subscribe the channel, and please do like and share the video. If you like and share the video, then every of the needy student will get this video, and they will get the help from me directly through the YouTube channel. So thank you for watching. Have a nice day. Have a well preparation. Thanks a lot again.